A storm raged above the black spires of Dreadmoor Castle as the ancient stones trembled with unnatural energy. The third-person narrator described the scene with an ominous tone. In the heart of the storm, a ritual long forbidden stirs once more. Inside the castle, Stephen, the dark enchanter, stood within a circle of glowing runes. Stephen said, "The elements shall bow to me, and the world will kneel." His hands rose, summoning fire and shadow. Lightning crashed, revealing his gaunt face twisted with ambition. In the village below, Rowan, a young man cursed since birth, awoke in terror as the ground shook. Rowan whispered, "Something has been unleashed." A distant bell tolled, its sound carried by fierce winds, warning of doom. Above it all, the storm's howl mingled with an unearthly voice chanting, signaling the beginning of a dark age. Morning broke with pale light as Rowan trudged through the village, eyes scanning the damage caused by the storm. Broken carts and fallen trees littered the streets. The narrator spoke softly. "The storm has left more than wreckage. It has left fear." Rowan's childhood friend, Mira, approached, her face drawn with worry. Mira said, "Rowan, the elders say it was no ordinary storm." Rowan replied, "I felt it, Mira. Something dark awakened last night." Villagers gathered around, whispering about omens and curses. An elder spoke solemnly, "The prophecy has begun." Rowan clenched his fists, unsure whether to run from or face the destiny everyone seemed to see in him. The village's ancient temple smelled of incense and old stone. Rowan knelt before Eldrin, the wise mentor. Eldrin, male, age 65, white beard, deep-set eyes, spoke calmly. "The storm was no accident. Stephen has returned." Rowan said, "The dark enchanter of the old tales." Eldrin nodded. "He seeks to command the elements and plunge the world into chaos." The narrator described Rowan's fear as he looked up, realizing his cursed mark burned on his forearm. Eldrin whispered, "Your curse is tied to this prophecy, Rowan. You must journey beyond these walls." Rowan's breath caught, a mix of dread and reluctant determination filling his chest. Far away, within Dreadmoor Castle, Stephen stood before a massive obsidian mirror. The narrator intoned in darkness, "Ambition thrives," Stephen said, "Soon the elements shall obey me." His reflection twisted, showing visions of kingdoms burning. He raised his staff, drawing power from the storm raging outside. The mirror showed Rowan's image, and Stephen sneered, "The cursed one dares to rise against me? Let him come." Shadows crept along the walls, whispering in forgotten tongues. Stephen's laughter echoed through the halls, cold and cruel, as thunder shook the castle foundations. As night fell again, Rowan prepared to leave. Mira pleaded, "Rowan, don't go alone." Rowan gripped his small pack and said, "I must. If I stay, the darkness will destroy us all." A sudden roar shattered the air as monstrous creatures burst from the forest, attacking the village. Rowan fought with a broken spear, barely holding them back. The narrator spoke urgently. The journey had begun, not with choice, but with survival. Eldrin appeared, casting protective spells, shouting, "Go now, Rowan." Rowan's heart pounded as he fled into the night, the first step toward destiny marked by fire and blood. The forest stretched endlessly before Rowan, its mist-covered trails whispering secrets of ancient times. Exhausted, he stumbled across a clearing where a small fire burned. A young man with bright eyes and a disheveled cloak emerged, sword in hand. The narrator said, "Here, fate binds a loyal heart to a cursed hero." The stranger lowered his blade slowly and introduced himself. Finn said, "Name's Finn. I don't want trouble." Rowan replied, "Neither do I, but trouble follows me." Finn studied Rowan's determined face, sensing his burden. The ground trembled as distant howls echoed through the trees. Finn grinned, "Guess you could use a hand." Rowan gave a reluctant nod, and together they prepared for what was coming. The path led Rowan and Finn to a crumbling watchtower overlooking a wide river. A lone figure stood guard, her cloak fluttering in the cold wind. The narrator intoned, "The heart often finds its match amid chaos." Rowan approached cautiously. The woman turned, revealing striking features and fierce eyes. Lyria said, "You're not supposed to be here." Rowan replied, "Neither are you." Finn smirked and whispered, "She's trouble." Lyria hesitated, then added, "If you seek to fight Stephen, I'll join you, though my reasons are my own." Rowan's gaze softened, sensing unspoken pain. Finn muttered, "Great, another mystery to solve," while the storm clouds gathered above. Their journey was interrupted when the forest darkened unnaturally. The narrator warned, "Dark magic calls its servants." Shadowy creatures lunged from the undergrowth, snarling. Lyria drew her sword, shouting, "Stay behind me!" Rowan gripped his spear while Finn swung wildly. Just as the beasts closed in, a deep roar echoed overhead. From the mist emerged a majestic creature, its scales shimmering gold and silver. The guardian's voice rumbled, "You dare trespass here?" Rowan cried, "Help us, please." The guardian swept down, scattering the monsters with a single strike. Finn gasped, "That thing just saved us." The guardian lowered its head, eyes glowing with ancient wisdom. "Your path is perilous," it said. "I will guide you, for now." As they reached a mountain pass, a man appeared by a cliffside fire, his dark cloak concealing his face. The narrator said, "Not all allies wear honest smiles." The stranger bowed slightly. Darius said, "Travelers, I know a safer route through these peaks." Lyria's hand hovered over her blade, whispering, "He's hiding something." Rowan, weary and desperate, replied, "We need help, we'll follow." Finn frowned but said nothing. Darius smirked beneath his hood, guiding them along narrow paths. The narrator added, "A snake slithers best among shadows, and trust is a currency easily stolen." Night fell as the group huddled around a crackling fire in a hidden valley. The narrator said, "Bonds are forged not in peace but in shared fear." Rowan stared into the flames, whispering, "I never asked for this destiny." Lyria's voice softened, "None of us asked for our pain." Finn grinned, trying to lighten the mood. Finn said, "Well, at least we've got each other, and a giant magical lizard." The guardian's low rumble of approval made them chuckle. Darius sat apart, silent, his eyes glinting with concealed intent. The narrator closed in firelight's warmth, secrets remain cloaked, and the journey ahead grows darker still. The narrator intoned, "Stephen's shadow spreads like a storm across the realm." Inside the throne room of a nearby kingdom, nobles shouted in panic as black smoke seeped through the windows. Stephen appeared in a swirl of darkness, his voice calm and cold. Stephen said, "Your king bows to me now." The king, trembling, declared, "We will never serve you." Stephen raised his staff, and the torches flared green. Soldiers fell to their knees, clutching their heads in agony. Outside, villagers screamed as a magical tempest ripped through the streets. The narrator whispered, "Chaos takes root, and the world begins to fracture under his will." Rowan and his companions raced across a misty meadow, only to be met by Stephen's forces. The narrator said, "Steel clashes with destiny." Armored warriors surged forward, shields glinting. Lyria shouted, "Hold the line!" Finn stumbled, but swung his blade fiercely. Rowan cried, "We can't let them break through." The guardian soared overhead, scattering enemy ranks with a burst of magic. Arrows rained down as chaos erupted. Darius fought beside them, his strikes precise yet strangely reserved. The narrator warned, even in victory, doubt creeps like poison. Rowan's breath came ragged, as he realized the battle was only the beginning. After the battle, the group rested beneath an ancient oak. Lyria sat apart, staring at a silver pendant she clutched tightly. Rowan approached gently. Rowan said, "Lyria, what's wrong?" She hesitated, then whispered, "That attack wasn't random. They were hunting me." Finn frowned. "Why would Stephen's army want you?" Lyria's eyes shimmered with unshed tears. "Because I was once sworn to his court," she admitted. Rowan's face fell. The narrator spoke, "Trust shatters like fragile glass." Finn shouted, You should have told us. Lyria turned away, voice breaking. I feared you'd leave me behind. Silence fell heavy as night approached. Within the camp, Eldrin's teachings echoed in Rowan's mind. The narrator said, "Wisdom comes heavy with burden." Rowan sat by the fire, staring at his cursed mark. Darius approached quietly. Darius said your mentor withheld the truth, didn't he? Rowan looked up sharply. Eldrin knew more than he revealed, he admitted. Darius smirked. Secrets can kill a man faster than a blade. Rowan's chest tightened with anger and confusion. Lyria sat nearby, silent, guilt shadowing her face. The narrator added, when trust falters, cracks widen, and darkness seeps in. Rowan whispered, if Eldrin hid something, it must be terrible. The narrator spoke urgently. Truth waits beneath stone and secrecy. At dawn, the group discovered a hidden cave entrance beneath an overgrown ruin. The guardian rumbled, this path leads to Stephen's heart of power. Rowan peered into the darkness, resolve hardening. Rowan said, if there's a chance to stop him, we take it. Lyria nodded, wiping her tears. Finn muttered nervously, I hate caves. Darius smirked behind them, concealing his true thoughts. As they descended, glowing runes lit the walls. The narrator concluded, what they find here will change everything, and set the stage for betrayal. The narrator whispered, darkness tests the bonds of those who dare challenge it. The group moved cautiously through a labyrinth of jagged cliffs, where fog clung to the ground like a living thing. Rowan tightened his grip on his spear, sweat beading on his brow despite the cold. Lyria said, stay alert. This place feels wrong. Finn stumbled over loose stones and muttered, everything about this journey feels wrong. The guardian glided silently above them, its glowing eyes scanning the shadows. Darius walked ahead, voice smooth, trust me, the way forward is near. Rowan frowned, uneasy at his tone. The narrator added, illusions wait to ensnare their hearts, and one wrong step could cost them everything. As they ventured deeper, strange whispers echoed off the rocks. The narrator said deception slithers in silence. Lyria gasped, seeing ghostly figures resembling her past allies. Rowan grabbed her arm, urging, they're illusions, don't look at them. Darius smirked subtly, his eyes glinting. Finn cried, I hear my brother's voice. He staggered toward the sound. Rowan yelled, stay together, but the ground shifted, revealing hidden spikes below. The guardian unleashed a protective barrier, roaring defiantly. Darius said smoothly, we must split up to survive. Rowan's gut twisted with doubt. The narrator warned, division is the sharpest blade of all. The group stumbled into a vast cavern lit by glowing crystals. The narrator spoke, even the earth trembles before what lurks here. From the shadows, monstrous creatures erupted with guttural roars. Rowan shouted, defend yourselves. Lyria slashed fiercely, while Finn's blade trembled in his hands. The guardian struck with magical force, scattering the beasts, but their numbers grew. Darius fought near Rowan, movements precise yet strangely reserved. Rowan gasped, we can't hold them. Lyria yelled, fall back to the ledge. The cavern quaked as rocks fell, cutting off escape routes. The narrator warned, the trap has sprung, and desperation begins to take root. The battle slowed as creatures retreated. Rowan gasped for breath, blood staining his tunic. The narrator intoned, betrayal strikes deepest when trust is absolute. Suddenly Darius raised his hand, summoning chains of dark magic that bound Rowan and Lyria. Lyria screamed, Darius, why? Darius smirked, did you truly think I fought for your cause? Stephen promised me power beyond dreams. Finn shouted, lunging at him, but Darius cast him aside effortlessly. Rowan roared, you used us. Darius replied coldly, I guided you straight into Stephen's grasp. Shadows filled the cavern, forming a gateway. The narrator said, the mask falls, and loyalty turns to ash. The gateway roared with power as Stephen's presence filled the cavern. Rowan shouted, we can still fight. But the guardian staggered, its glow fading. Eldrin appeared suddenly, staff blazing with light. Eldrin yelled, "Go now, Rowan!" He unleashed a wave of magic, shattering the chains. Stephen's voice thundered, "Old fool, your sacrifice will mean nothing." Rowan screamed, "No!" as Eldrin's body was consumed by darkness, sealing the gateway behind them. The narrator's voice trembled, "In loss, courage is born, and the hero's heart is tempered by grief." Rowan fell to his knees, tears mixing with blood, knowing this was only the beginning. The narrator spoke softly, "Grief is the heaviest chain a hero must bear." Dawn broke over the mountains as Rowan sat apart from the others, staring blankly at the horizon. His hands trembled as he clutched Eldrin's broken staff. Lyria approached cautiously, her face pale and streaked with tears. Lyria whispered, "He believed in you, Rowan." Rowan's voice cracked, "He died because of me." Finn sat nearby, silent, eyes red from crying. The Guardian lay weakened, its once bright glow now faint. The narrator added, "Loss binds them yet threatens to tear them apart." Rowan finally stood, resolve hardening. Rowan said, "If we let his sacrifice mean nothing, then darkness wins." The narrator intoned, "Truth waits in shadows, revealed only when courage dares to seek it." In a hidden glade, the Guardian rose slowly, voice resonant with ancient power. The Guardian said, "Your journey has only begun. The curse you bear is no accident." Rowan's eyes widened. Rowan whispered, "You know about it?" The Guardian nodded. "You were chosen by fate itself. Stephen's rise and your curse are bound by the same prophecy." Lyria gasped, "Prophecy?" Finn muttered, "Why are we only hearing this now?" Rowan's fists clenched as he demanded, "Tell me everything." The Guardian's gaze turned sorrowful. "To defeat him, you must face the truth of your bloodline." The narrator declared, "Revelation is a blade that cuts deepest at the soul." The Guardian's voice trembled. "Stephen is not merely your enemy, he is blood of your blood." Rowan staggered back, shaking his head. Rowan shouted, "No, that's impossible." Lyria's breath caught. Finn whispered, "He's your family?" The Guardian lowered its head. "Stephen is your uncle. When he sought forbidden magic, your family turned against him. In vengeance, he cursed you as an infant." Rowan's knees buckled. "All my life," he said, voice breaking, "I thought I was cursed by fate, but it was him." The narrator added, "The past rises, shattering everything Rowan believed." Silence hung thick before Lyria finally spoke, her voice trembling. Lyria said, "There's something I must confess to." Rowan looked up, eyes raw with pain. "Not now," he pleaded. Lyria shook her head. "You deserve to know. I once swore allegiance to Stephen. My family served him, willingly." Finn shouted, "What?" Lyria's voice broke. "I betrayed him when I saw his cruelty, but he knows my every weakness. If we fail, he will destroy everything I love." Rowan stood, jaw tight. "And yet you fight beside us," he said. Lyria nodded through tears. The narrator whispered, "Secrets laid bare deepen wounds, but also bind hearts in fragile unity." The narrator spoke with rising tension. From shattered truths rises unbreakable resolve. Rowan stood at the edge of the clearing, his silhouette framed by the setting sun. Rowan said, "This ends with me and Stephen." Finn stepped forward, uncertain. "Rowan, you're talking about facing him alone." Rowan turned, voice steady. "His darkness began with my blood. I'll be the one to end it." Lyria wiped her tears and declared, "Then we fight together." The Guardian lowered its head solemnly. "The path ahead will demand everything you have," it warned. Rowan looked at his friends and said, "Then everything is what I'll give." The narrator concluded, "The final march begins." The narrator's voice carried urgency. "Hope is a fragile flame, burning brightest before the storm." Rowan and his companions arrived at a hidden rebel encampment nestled in a canyon. Ragged warriors rose to meet them, their eyes filled with desperation and resolve. Lyria declared, These are the last who dare to fight. Finn muttered, not exactly an army, but it's all we've got. Rowan stepped forward, lifting Eldrin's broken staff. Rowan said, Stephen's darkness ends tonight. Fight not for me, but for the realm. Cheers erupted, thin yet fierce. The Guardian landed heavily beside Rowan, wings folding with grace. The narrator added, united, they stand ready to face the storm. The narrator intoned, to face darkness, one must wield the light within. In a secluded cave, Rowan trained under the Guardian's watchful gaze. The Guardian said, your power is not a curse, but a key. Rowan focused, eyes shut, as glowing runes surrounded him. Lyria stood near the entrance, watching with silent awe. Finn whispered to her, he's different now. Lyria nodded, he has to be. Rowan extended his hand, summoning a sphere of pure elemental energy. Sweat dripped from his brow, but his stance was unbroken. The Guardian rumbled, harness it, Rowan. Your strength will decide the fate of all. The narrator added, from fear is forged mastery. The narrator's tone grew dark, while heroes prepare, evil strike. In Dreadmoor Castle, Stephen stood atop his tower, hands raised high. Black lightning shot skyward as storm clouds spread across the realm. Villages below were engulfed in flames as rivers surged wildly, overflowing their banks. Stephen laughed, voice echoing across the land. Stephen declared, let them see the futility of their defiance. Inside the rebel camp, Rowan staggered, clutching his head as he felt the surge of dark power. Lyria steadied him, whispering, he's starting the final assault. Rowan's voice was steady, then we face him now, before he destroys everything. The narrator said, love is often tested at the edge of destruction. As Rowan led the group toward Stephen's stronghold, shadow beasts ambushed them on a narrow cliffside path. Lyria pushed Rowan aside just as a creature lunged. Lyria shouted, go, I'll hold them off. Rowan screamed, no, stay with me. Lyria's sword flashed, cutting through the beasts as she was surrounded. Finn yelled, we can't leave her. Rowan's voice broke, if she falls, so does hope. The Guardian swept down, scattering enemies with a roar. Lyria stumbled, bloodied but alive. She gasped, I'm not leaving you, Rowan. The narrator added, sacrifice and devotion walk hand in hand. The narrator declared, at the eve of war, words become weapons of the soul. In the rebel camp, fires burned as warriors prepared for battle. Rowan stood before them, his friends at his side. Rowan said, we may not all survive this night, but our fight will echo through the ages. The warriors roared their approval. Finn raised his sword high, shouting, for Eldrin, for freedom. Lyria's gaze met Rowan's, filled with fierce determination. The Guardian rumbled, the final battle awaits. Rowan lifted his spear, declaring, tonight we march into the storm. The narrator concluded, the hour of reckoning has come. The narrator thundered, the storm of destiny crashes, and the final battle begins. Rowan led his forces across the plains toward Dreadmoor Castle, the night sky torn by lightning. The Guardian soared overhead, its mighty roar echoing through the darkness. Stephen's army of shadow beasts awaited at the gates, their eyes glowing crimson. Lyria shouted, for Eldrin, for our world. Finn yelled, voice trembling but loud, for freedom. Rowan raised his spear and roared, charge! The two armies collided with deafening chaos. Steel met fang, magic clashed with darkness, and screams of war filled the air. The narrator whispered, this is the moment where heroes are forged, or destroyed. The narrator said, heroes rise, and sacrifices are made. In the heart of battle, a massive shadow beast lunged toward Rowan. Finn pushed Rowan aside, taking the full blow. Rowan screamed, Finn! The young man fell, blood staining his cloak. Finn gasped, go, you have to finish this. Rowan gripped his friend's hand, tears streaming. Rowan said, I won't let this be in vain. Lyria cut down enemies around them, shouting, Rowan, we have to move. The Guardian unleashed a protective barrier, giving them a brief reprieve. The narrator added, "Sacrifice lights the path forward, even as hearts break." The narrator declared, "In the heart of darkness, destiny is decided." Rowan stormed into the castle's shattered throne room. Stephen waited, towering and calm, staff glowing with unholy power. Stephen sneered, "You dare challenge your blood?" Rowan shouted, "You cursed me, destroyed our family, and brought ruin to this world." Their weapons clashed with a blinding flash. Lyria fought off shadow guards at the doorway, yelling, "Rowan, focus on him." The Guardian roared, smashing through stone to assist. Stephen unleashed a wave of dark energy, hurling Rowan across the room. The narrator added, "The final duel begins, fire against shadow, hope against despair." The narrator's tone trembled. "The line between victory and ruin is drawn here." Stephen struck Rowan down, sneering, "You were always weak." Rowan groaned, struggling to rise. Lyria screamed, "Get up, Rowan!" Memories of Eldrin, Finn, and his village flashed before him. Rowan gritted his teeth and rose, voice shaking with fury. Rowan shouted, "I am not weak, I am hope." His spear blazed with pure elemental light as he plunged it into Stephen's chest. Stephen roared, darkness erupting violently before fading into silence. Rowan collapsed, tears mixing with sweat. The narrator said, "Darkness falls, but the cost is steep." The narrator spoke softly. "Victory tastes of ash when grief lingers." Dawn broke as survivors stood amidst the ruins of Dreadmoor Castle. Lyria knelt beside Rowan, who stared blankly at the horizon. The Guardian bowed its head respectfully over Finn's lifeless body. Rowan whispered, "He gave everything so we could live." Lyria's voice trembled, so did Eldrin. Rowan rose slowly, shoulders heavy with loss. He planted his spear in the ground and said, "We will rebuild, we will honor them." The Guardian rumbled, "The darkness is gone, for now." The narrator concluded, "As light returns, a shadow always waits beyond the dawn."